Hi, my name is Kris, and I'm an art instructor. Some of you guys who have been in my class before know me as Miss Kris. So today what I thought we would do is just a simple painting of a butterfly. This is one that I did on a 9 by 12 canvas, and it's just on a canvas board like this. I tend to like the canvas board because if you use canvas that's stretched over a frame, sometimes the canvas can start to sag on it over time. So you can use a canvas board. I also used acrylic paint, and I will go into more on the brushes and the kind of paint that I used in just a moment. Okay, so let's get started. The kind of paint that I used is called Craft Smart. These are just the different colors that I used. You do not have to use the same brand, and you don't even have to use the same colors I did. These are just the ones that I picked. And I went ahead and I put them on this plate already. You do not need to use a whole lot of paint because the paint actually goes quite a long way. This is probably about the size, after it spreads out a little bit bigger than a penny, maybe around the size almost of a nickel. Once you get painting and you notice you might need a little bit more of one paint or the other, you can go ahead and just add as much as you want. I just see a lot of people squirt a big puddle on there and then they end up not even using all of it and they have all their paint go to waste. The kind of brushes that you're going to use, there's two main kinds. One kind of brush is called a flat brush, and you can see that the bristles on this brush are rectangular shape. It helps you to, when you're painting, it helps you can turn it sideways and make some straighter lines, or if you turn it the broad way, you can get some thicker broad lines that are more square and even. The other kind of brush that we'll be using is called a round brush. And you can see that the bristles on it are not square like the flat brush at all. And that it helps you just to fill in the different areas, and you can get some other kind of strokes in there, like some of these swirls on this painting. If you want to get one at least of each one of those, you can use any kind of brush that is comfortable to you. These are just probably some of my favorites depending on the area that I'm covering. The next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to actually be drawing our butterfly on the canvas. Another thing that a lot of people make a big mistake with that I teach is when they are drawing the image on the canvas, they tend to draw and push down very heavily. And it ends up leaving a dark line and dark marks that are a little harder to cover up when you're painting. So when you're drawing your image on the canvas, the big thing that you want to make sure is that you're drawing it dark enough so that you can see it, but you don't want to draw it so dark that it ends up showing up through your painting. So when we did the butterfly, I offset it a little bit, just to give it a little bit more interest. You don't have to do that. You can make it just exactly straight with even proportionately on all sides. But I just angled the body to start with just a little bit. And the way that I did it, I probably am going to draw a little darker for you so you guys can see this back home. Do not do this part the way I do it. Can you see that okay? Okay, so when I was doing the butterfly, if you kind of think about the body as almost like doing a plus sign, the wings on top are going to be bigger, and the part of the wings on the bottom are going to be a little smaller. So we just put that middle section where the wings are going to be separated just a little bit lower, not exactly a plus sign. And with most butterflies, people don't always paint it this way, but with most butterflies, the top parts of the wings curve up and over like this. So we can do that on both sides. You want to go ahead and fill the picture up as much as you want. If you want just a butterfly in your painting, that is fine, like this one that I have. If you want to add some flowers afterwards to fill up some more of the space, you can do that too. And so after we curve it over, your lines don't have to be exact, because remember, all this is getting covered up with paint. And then you just kind of swoop down the wings. And your wings don't even have to be exactly even. It's still going to look beautiful. And if you get together with some friends, with your mom or your dad, and you decide to do something like this together, I know everybody is in separate places right now, and not everybody can hang out together. You could even do a video, Zoom kind of thing where you get to hang out with your friends and you can all paint this together. There's the head, and then the body is just going to be a little wider. And this doesn't have to be exact, remember. And then I put some antennas on there. When you're painting, to start with, we're going to start with the background of the painting. And as we're painting the background, some of that paint is probably going to go over some of these lines, and that's okay. Because we're just going to go back over top of it and repair all that and fix it. Paint is considered to be very forgiving kind of media, which means if you make a mistake with it, it's very easy to correct it. Okay, so for the background, there's a lot of area that we're going to be covering. So we're going to start with a little bit, this is also a flat brush, it's angled. It's just a bigger brush that I have available to me right now. So you can start from the outside in or the inside out, either way. But we're going to take some of our red and start at the outside first. And we're going to kind of make a circle motion around here. It doesn't have to be perfect, remember. All this is going to end up being blended together. I am not going to go to the edges. I'm going to have to be careful going to the edges. I don't want to get any paint. Okay, so I get my red on here. And the thing about acrylic paint, if you are used to using oil paints can stay dry for days or even weeks. And acrylic paints actually tend to dry pretty quickly. And sometimes that can be a good thing, and sometimes it's not such a good thing. So what's going to happen is we want to get this ombre kind of color mixing through our painting. And as we're doing this, the paint is actually going to start to dry probably quicker than we would like. And that's okay. Because what we're going to do is when you need that paint to be a little looser and to blend in, you're just going to take your brush and dip it into the water. Make sure you have a cup of water and a paper towel with you. And see there, I already ran out of some red paint, so I'm going to add a little bit more. I got my dark red on there, mostly all the way around. And I'm just going to go ahead and go into my orange here in just a second. One of the reasons I picked butterflies is because in my family, butterflies have a lot of meaning, a lot of symbolism about new things, new birth, hope. And so, oops, if you do this where you get a little bit of paint on there, that is okay. You did not ruin your painting. Still adding some of this orange in here. One thing that I notice is that I have people, adults and kids, mostly adults, that actually walk by my classroom and they will say, I wish I could join your class, I wish I could do that. And the thing is that you can. Right now is an awesome time to be home and nobody is paying attention to anything that you're doing. So if you want to just pull out some canvas and start painting, no one is going to see it anyways, except for you and whoever it is you would like to show it to. You can notice I'm going ahead and covering up these wings. That's okay. I want to be able to see a little bit of my pencil in there. I can always go back over that a little bit later and fix up any areas that I think need more paint. We added in there the red, and this paint actually stayed nice and wet enough to go ahead and smooth things together. If you notice you're having trouble and your paint for some reason is too dry, go ahead and you can dip your brush a little bit into the water and go ahead and go over your paints that way. And if that helps you blend in some more, that's a nice easy trick way to do that. And let's see, so we want to get into these areas. Go ahead and get that background right there, where between the wings are going to be. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and rinse our brush. and go ahead and dab it out on your paper towel. So it's nice and dry and you don't have it all messy. Go ahead and get that out of the way so that it's not going to be marking up, leaving a mess anywhere. And I'm going to go ahead and probably do most of the rest of this probably with my smaller flat brush. I guess I tend to like that a lot. And for the wings, we're going to go ahead and mix several different shades of blue in there and some white. And then we're going to outline and do some of the edges with the black to help it pop out and stand out. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the darker blue. One thing that you can do is if you want to pause for a few minutes and allow that orange, the background, to go ahead and dry. And then this part with the butterfly will be a little bit less messy. You're going to be less likely to pull in all that orange into your blue. Because once you start pulling that blue, the orange into the blue and the yellow in there, you're going to start getting shades of brown and green. And you probably don't want that unless you've decided to make a green butterfly. So I took a little bit of time to fill in some of this area here, and I let the paint dry a little bit because, as I was saying, that if you don't let the paint, you can start seeing how it's starting to blend that orange and yellow in here into the blue, and you don't really want, well, maybe you do want that, I don't know. But I also wanted to go back over some of this red and orange because if you see the swirls in here, you see more texture, and I'm going to add a little bit more of that around in this around the edges here in just a second. So as this dries, you can go ahead and add just some strokes here and there. They don't have to be anywhere in particular. The only reason I'm doing them kind of in a curved circular motion is that's the texture that I want to be able to see. And that's just kind of a swirly around it. It just helps the butterfly stand out a little bit. And the colors between the blue and the orange and the red there, those also help things stand out. They're complementary colors of each other. And that just also helps things pop. So I'll put some of this in here. Okay, so we're going to go back in with a little bit of our blue now. And we're going to add a little bit of texture there too with the different shades of blue. And if you feel like you're a little confused because there was more paint on this canvas than when a moment ago, like it just appeared, I did go ahead and fill in this area here because I realized I had missed that. We didn't want to do that. But sometimes I have people come to my class and even adults, where they feel like they would like to join, they feel like they can't do it. They've never done something like this before. So they either don't join, they don't try, or they try and they give up very quickly. And like I said, the awesome thing about paint is it's very forgiving. So if you're painting and you feel like you made a big mistake, you can let it dry and paint right over top of it again. And if you are feeling like you need to fix something because you feel like you made that mistake and you would like some help from me, you are always welcome to message me. Send me a picture of what it is that you're dealing with, and I can help you work on improving whatever you're doing. Because whatever you're doing when you're in my class, my big thing is I want you to feel like you succeeded and you came out with the best painting that you've ever done. Or the best art piece that you've ever done. Because it's no fun when you do some artwork and you feel like it looks terrible and you feel like I can't do this, and I don't want anybody to ever leave my classes feeling like that. So, I'm just putting some dark blue as a base coat on the bottom of this. And then we're going to start to add over top of that some of our lighter blues. And this would be probably a good place to speed that up. Okay, so now we're going to go back with some lighter blues. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of going from the middle where we put this plus sign, and I'm taking my brush strokes from there and I'm going outwards. And that'll give you that nice texture that you see where on the butterfly wings. We'll move into the next lighter one. And sometimes it's okay if you're working on this and you're thinking, I'm not sure if I like that or not, and you walk away for a short time, and then you come back and you realize it might look better if you did this or that. It's totally okay to walk away even if it dries. I've had to do that many times. And you can see a lot of the individual brush strokes I'm making, and that can add a lot of interest to your painting. So don't be afraid of showing those brush strokes. You don't have to smooth everything through it. So when you are done with these paintings, I would really love to, if you're willing, to share your paintings with me. I'd love to see how everyone's artwork came out. And if you don't mind me showing it, I can show it. But if you're uncomfortable with that, I won't show it. I just still love to see what you did anyways. Because everybody has these individual ideas, and everybody's just so creative. And y'all always do such a nice job, and a lot of times you surprise me with what you do. And I just love it all. So we're going to let that dry a little bit, because next we're going to go ahead and add in the body and the antenna and the black edging around it, and it's going to work a little bit better if we give it a little time, a few minutes to dry. One way, if you are with a group of people or you're in a hurry, and one way to get this to dry a little faster is to go ahead and use a hairdryer on it. Just go ahead and wave it across it with the air, and that'll dry it a lot faster. Okay, so I've let the paint dry a little bit. I am going to add just a little bit of white highlights in it, and see if we can just show some of that. Now this white right here, to me, is getting just a tad bit dry, so it's not spreading as much as I'd like. So I just added a little bit of water kind of pull that through so it's not dragging. And right here, I still have some blue paint that is kind of on the thicker side, and it's kind of muting out my white paint, so I just wiped a lot of that paint off there. On my paper towel, I'll just go back and put some more in there. Okay, so once your paint is mostly dry, mine is mostly dry, it's still a little wet, but we're going to go ahead and take your black. I'm using my flat brush again because I tend to like it because it gives me a lot of control. And I'm turning it sideways. And I'm going to start with drawing a line down for the body. And I'm going to thicken that line up. I just want to make sure I get the angle that I want. You can draw it straight, or you can kind of round it out a little bit, because butterflies kind of have those rounded segments in their body. Now you guys are probably going to do a little bit better here on the body than I am, because I have mine angled a little bit. And so then I'm going to go ahead and do an oval shape up here near the head for the head. It's okay if some of that white or blue mixes in there a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to wipe off most of my paint. I'm going to dip it back in there so that my paintbrush is wet. And I'm going to use that to draw the antenna. Go ahead and angle it. And then I'm going to go ahead and take this and start edging, outlining it with that black paint. If this is too difficult for you and you feel better about using a black Sharpie, you can do that. What I did on these edges is, after I outline it here, I go ahead and I'm making these jagged, uneven lines. Just give it a more natural look. And again, it's not a problem if that blue and that white gets in there, but if it does and it starts getting too gray and muddy, go ahead and wipe off your brush, and then you just can go back and get some more black on there. You do not have to outline your butterfly if you don't want to. It just makes it pop a little bit more. Another color that might be kind of really interesting to use, instead of this blue, you could also use like an olive green, different shades of green. I thought maybe doing a camo kind of pattern on the wings might be kind of fun, especially if you have a boy that you're painting with and he doesn't, this might look too girly for him. Make it a camo butterfly. Giving myself a little bit too much paint there. Okay, so you may be looking at my picture right now and think all of a sudden something changed abruptly, and what happened is that at one point I thought I might add a few spots and designs on the butterfly, and then I realized I really didn't like it. So I wiped off the wet paint and it left smudges through my wings, and so then I just let it dry, and I went back and I just added some more of the different blues and white and just touched it back up again. And I like it a little bit better. And then I just added some flowers up here in the corner because I just wanted to, and I thought it looked good. But like I said before, sometimes you want to take a step back and look at what you're painting and see if it needs to be changed a little bit. You can always get a second opinion from somebody because sometimes that helps. And I think what I need to do for what I'm looking at is I need, for myself, I am going to add a little bit more black and just make the wings stand out and pop out just a little more. So I'm going to go back in here and just add some of the black. And if the paint, the blue paint there is still wet, that's okay. Sometimes you have to wipe off a little bit because you don't want it to end up too muddy. But it's okay to let some of those colors smear together. It looks interesting that way. Get a little bit more black there. And we'll just go ahead and touch these wings up and make them pop just a little bit more. And if you are working and doing the same thing and you're finding that whatever you're doing is not the way you like it, it's okay. Let the paint dry, wipe off the wet stuff, and you can always come back and redo it. Awesome thing about paint. To me, you can tell this wing is starting to look a little bit more interesting. We'll go back over here. And there you go. You can stop wherever it is you want. And if you, I liked a little bit more of the dark black around the edges. If you don't like that so much, and you followed what I did, and you're realizing you don't really like that black on there, that's okay. Again, you just go back and fix it up with a little bit more paint when it dries. Okay, so I got up and looked at this straight on like you would normally be doing it if you were looking at it. When I did the first one, I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage from you guys, because you guys, when you're holding your painting, you're looking directly at it. I'm off to the side, and so it's a little bit harder for me to get it even and to paint it quite as well. So the first one I did, I think turned out a little bit better, but it was because I was able to look directly at it and not at an angle. So you can compare the two. You can still add the flowers in there. And thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.